Right, your virtual general aviator, and I'm back for round two. Today I am going to fly the Pilatus, the the lovely Pilatus. Let's give you an outside view of it. This is the Pilatus, the PC-12. Um, it is the jet of turbo. Let's see, let me get this right. It is the jet of prop aircraft. This is one of the very few aircraft that, in some cases, flies like it's a jet plane. And I want to zoom in, give you a better look. Um, there's nothing really special about this livery, the color scheme, except for it shows the tail number that I use, which is the stock tail number. I just do append the end on it because in the U.S. We generally have five numbers for a tail number. So my the tail number that I use is 9875 November, and right now it still has the tow bar on it, and the the probe covers, which will go away as soon as I jump in the aircraft. Okay, so this is kind of my walk around to kind of inspect things in the sim world to make sure everything look okay. In real life, I would be touching stuff and feeling stuff and looking at stuff a lot closer than I am now. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so open our doors and refuel and inspect aircraft and enter the cockpit and close our doors. Okay, and do you hear that owl? Whenever you're outside, you can hear. Okay, and all right, external power, overhead panel, that is avionics 1 and 2 should go off. They are. Okay, file flight plan. Now, I filed the flight plan a little earlier. Hopefully, it's still in the GPS, and it actually said avionics should come on. I read that a little backwards. Actually, I didn't read it. I just glanced at it and anticipated what I thought it would say. Obviously, it didn't say what I thought it was going to say. So, and my flight plan should be already in my VOR. It did retain my VORs from the last. So to give you a little brief of what I intend to do, I'm at Wilmington and I'm going to fly directly to Grand Rapids, which is Kilo Charlie Romeo Echo. From there, I'm going to fly over Wilmington um, to a couple waypoints to get to Chesapeake, which is Kilo Charlie Papa Kilo. Um, that's from my current location. Round trip is 300 and I'm sorry, 272 nautical miles. Okay, so that's a pretty decent little flight, and that may be all that I do today. Um, or I am going to pick up a package when I get to Chesapeake or no, Grand Rapids, Grand Strand. South Carolina, which is North Myrtle Beach. And once I get there, I am going to fly that package to Raleigh, Durham, but I may not do that on this stream, depending on how the time look. Okay, so I'm still going through my checklist. EPS switch and EPS should be armed. So let's arm that guy. Check that. And the overhead, the non-EES override should be auto. All right, that's checked. Standby should be up. And battery on should come on. Let's test my lamps. Okay, taxi and landing, everything is on. De-icing, all my lights are on. Cooling and passenger seat and wing, no smoking is on. So that looks good. All my lights work. So all my de-icing lights are switches are off. My inertial separator is off, and my air conditioning and cooling lights are all off. My passenger, no smoking in seat are off. All external lights and switches are off except for the beacon. I just turned that off. And the yellow caution light is needs to be canceled. And they are canceled. My ethos is on compass, whatever that means. I'm not sure what that means. I need to find out. And and my cabin pressure needs to be greater than 500. I'm sorry. My cabin pressure switch needs to be on auto. Okay. And my passenger wing, let's see. Yep. Let's go back up. Passenger wing switch is and no smoking is off. All external lights are off. I thought I went through this before. Left and right is auto. Ignition switch is auto. Yellow caution. Let's check that again. Is okay. Landing gear lights, three in the green. And EFA switch is on compass. Um, so I'm happy with that. Cabin pressure switch is auto. I just checked that. And ECS switch is manual. Okay, check. Cabin control is greater than 500 feet right now. I do believe it's at about 7,500. Cabin control current out plus 500. Okay, my current, it needs to be at my current altitude plus 500. And my current altitude at Wilmington has an elevation of, what's the elevation, Wilmington? 32 feet. So 532 is where it needs to be. And so five, okay, that ought to be about right. Let's see. Well, let's say five. All right, so altitude dash foot times 1,000. So that's 5,000 feet. So that puts me about 532. Okay. Um, and current cabin, current plus 500 feet set. Okay, right side oxygen lever is up, and trim and flaps. Oh, you guys hear that? Trim and flaps are, let me just turn that down just a little bit. I think that's a little too loud, don't you think? Uh, let's just turn the interior button down a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Uh, and trim and flaps normal. All right. Manual override is off and it's up under this lever here. Yep. Okay. Power is is on ground. Okay, that's checked. And condition level is cut off. I already checked that. Flaps is 0 degrees. These are my flaps. And no, I'm sorry. These are yeah, my flaps is at 0. Auto trim. That's what I was looking at. My bad. Okay. Red fuel and ECS is full in. Now those are really hard to see, but they are these guys here. And battery, let's see, let me just change this view up a little bit. Okay, battery 2 switch comes on. All right, nav amps are greater than 24, check. Nav comes on, and passenger wing and no smoking. Um, Switch is on, and pusher is audible, and park fire is audible. That's why I got stuck at last time, and I had to end the stream and restart it because um, that's why I realized that I wasn't hearing anything out of the aircraft. Okay, fuel. And fuel, I'm not that concerned about because the reason I'm not concerned about fuel is because I'm doing an FSE flight, and when I pick up my passengers, I'm actually going to refuel the tanks at the same time, in which case we'll have just a little bit more because I paid for a half a tank of 203 gallons. Um, and the the voltage, let's see, DC volt, okay, 0 amp and minus 24 amp uh, on this electronic information system display. And I got the 0 amp 2 minus 24 volt, so I got approximately 24 negative volt. um, I'm not showing that, but don't think that's any cause for concern. Okay, fuel reset switch. Click that and request start. All right, beacon comes on and test the, hit my test button. And as you can see, they kind of have you all over the place. Okay, test. And my annunciator looks good. Everything looks good. Okay, yellow caution. And warning canceled. And let's go ahead and hit our starter switch. Okay, now this is where things get interesting because once I hit that starter switch, I want to monitor my NG, and once it get greater than 12%, then I can introduce fuel by changing my condition level to ground idle. Hey, how you doing, Timar UK? Thank you. Sorry it took me so long to see you, but I see you now. Thank you. Um, condition lever goes to ground idle, which I, okay, that's after I hit my start. So let's go up and hit start. And let's monitor these guys. I want to introduce fuel after I get over 12%. And I know you can't see me move the condition lever, but I did. And my oil pressure is in the green. And my ITT is under 800. It's under 800 PS degrees, which technically is 8,000 degrees because whatever this 505 needs to get multiplied times 100 to be 5,050 degrees, which is the temperatures inside those turbines. It's extremely hot. Okay, and the power the power ring is between 50 and 54%. And I'm looking for the power ring. I don't know why that doesn't sound familiar. Um, uh, Power ring. Let's see, and that's where at on my ethos here. Uh, Field quantity, RPMs, quantity, temperature outside, endurance. Uh, Not sure where to find that power RGM. I mean, R. Why can't I find that? I've been through this checklist several times, and I thought I found pretty much everything. May just be having a brain freeze, but it says it's on the EIS. I know it doesn't say that at all. Power ring set. Um, ah, could it be this guy? Uh, well, when I clicked it, it actually went green, so I guess it is set at this point. Um, Not sure about that. Okay, overhead display, generator switches comes on, generator 1 and 2. All right, avionics 1 and 2 comes on, inverter switch comes on, and standby bus goes off. ECS switch, the environmental control switch, can go off. And it's interesting that on this particular aircraft, you want to do a takeoff with that off. I didn't realize that until I started going through this checklist. Okay, torque should be greater than 3.5. So let's just turn that up a little bit. And let's just adjust it with our condition lever. And I'm looking at the torque. I'm at 3.2, still at 3.2, 3.3, and now I'm at 3.4. All right, 3 point and 3.5. Now, with that said, one thing that I have found is that when I do that, it moves me from ground idle to just before flight idle, which I don't think is modeled exactly where it should be. So I'm just going to pull it back. Whoa, I didn't mean to turn my engines off. Um, but I am going to pull it back. Okay, my torque. Let's see if I'm at ground. Yeah, I'm at ground idle now. And yeah, it's coming down. Okay. Um, Yellow caution lights look okay. Warning panel, nothing, nothing concerning on my warning panel. My, excuse me, and I'm gonna turn this off so I can see everything. I got this one here I can use. Okay, all GPS and communication devices comes on. Let's turn that one on standby, and let's make sure this guy's on, which it is. Okay. Transponder is on and on standby. Altimeter set. Okay, we know that our ground elevation is we know that our ground elevation is 32 feet. So I'm getting 29.92, and I wrote down my ADAS. So let's just go ahead and punch that in the box and see where we are. I'm glad you're doing good tomorrow. So you're in the UK, I take it. And do you fly to Pilatus? Okay, so let's go ahead and push in our ADAS for, and I always put my ADAS in my COM2 radio, just personal preference. ADAS is 124.975. And let's listen to it.
Wilmington Information Zulu.
Zulu.
1800 Zulu weather. Wind 230 at 9. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 20,500 scattered. 25,500 scattered. Temperature 22. Dew point -13. Altimeter 2997.
2997.
Runway 24. Departing runway 24.
24.
Advise on initial contact you have Zulu.
And I need to get the winds. I didn't make a note of that. Bop, 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 bop.
Wilmington Information Zulu. 1800 Zulu weather. Wind 230 at 9.
230 at 9.
More than 10.
Cool. UK. Been there 4 years. It's pretty good. I've been stateside since the day I set foot on this earth. So you fly the do you fly the Pilatus? Okay, so altimeter is set, flaps 15 degrees. Okay, I see them coming down here. And test autopilot. Okay, everything's lighting up nice and pretty. And turn autopilot on. Okay, now get my red and green light. Autopilot goes off. And let's cancel these guys. Seats, belt sign goes on. De-icing switches as needed. Now, I heard today that in the Pilatus, you should always turn your probes on because if there's a sensor on the probes that detects whether it's something about it can actually alert you whether or not you need to turn your icing systems on. I don't know about that um, because the information that I had came from another. That information came from a video that I watched where a guy was going through a checklist, and his checklist was different from the one I'm going through. And I don't know if that's how it's done in the real world or not. Anyway, I don't need the de-icing for Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm good, GA Pilot. How you doing? I'm had to take a day off from the computer. My inertia separator as needed, and I'm gonna taxi. It needs to be on. Heating and cooling is off. Um, should be about 73 degrees in here. 73.4 is what it says. And my my a my AHRS AHRS I think it's pronounced. Good. I'm glad you're good. Yeah, I saw a note that you streamed. Uh, cool. I think you flew the jet, the what is that, a CRJ or Embraer? I don't remember. Alternate staff trims are here, and let's get that one is normal, and adjust my trim. Okay, and that wasn't good. Okay, and I wanted about where it's set for takeoff. Check my warning panel, it looks good. Request taxi. And strobe lights come on. But I don't like turning on my strobe. Oh, the Embraer, the 135. Cool. I don't like turning on my strobes until I'm about to turn on to the runway. So I'm gonna reserve that to then, but my taxi lights do come on, and it won't let me turn my taxi lights on until I hit my strobe, till I turn my strobe, till I tell it that my strobe lights are on. Okay, condition level goes back to ground. I think that's where it's at. Parking brake comes off. And at this point, I can make my radio call and say, I'm ready to go. Now, we do know from our ADAS that runway 24 is the runway that we want. Um, I think the runway is behind me. So to get to 24, that should be on my left. I think it's, no, it should be on my right. Let's see. I'm just going to have to, well, you know what? I am in a non-movement area and I can actually move without permission from tower as long as I don't cross the double lines. And I need to turn and find the runway so I can determine where 24 is. I could cheat, just get out of the aircraft. Okay, I think the runway was directly in front of me. So I think this is the runway up here. And if it is, then I want to go to my right to get the runway 24, which I do believe it is. Okay, control tower, the ground was 121.9. So 121.9. And tower was 119.9. Is that 9? That's 8. Okay, so I need to adjust that. All right. And where am, oh yeah, I am at FBO1. Wilmington ground, Pilatus 9875 at FBO1 with Zulu ready to taxi. And of course, they would tell me taxi and they would give me the runway numbers, which I'm not going to look up, and tell me how to get to the runway. And I'll repeat that back, something like this: Taxiville to runway 24, Pilatus 9875 November. All right, so now I really should have gotten out of the aircraft to look for the taxi to make sure that where I think 24 was is actually where it's at. Um, no, 24 look like it's actually going to be a whole different runway. I'm gonna have to get out and look and see how many runways I got and find 24. I think 24 is going to be behind me. I think that's 24 right over here in this corner. And nope, that's 6. See how bad I am at this stuff? Um, and this is 3, 5. 6 plus 18 is 24. So 24 is going to be opposite 6. Okay, so at least now we know where 24 is at. That's why it helped to have Tower give you that progressive taxi. But in reality, I would have had my charts out so that I would know how to get the 2-4 before they even told me how to get the 2-4. Okay, so I can cross this. Um, I can cross this because, let's see, they didn't. I'm gonna have to get out again, guys. Okay, yeah, I can go straight across and cross runway whatever. I should I should see the I can cross onto the taxiway. Okay, let's clear to the left because I've already spoken with ground and they told me that I can go. And just for the sake of argument, they also told me to cross runway. Um, they told me to cross runway 35. Uh, yeah, so I don't have to stop and hold short. But I should have checked. And one thing I should sometime, this is where I miss. Come on, get control. Fly the airplane. Um, this is where I miss not having the track IR because when I'm looking, and if I got my track IR, then I can just turn my head, but I got a tendency to want to turn my head. All right, so we're going to 2-4, and we are getting there. Now, I don't have strobes on, I do have my taxi lights on, and I am going by my checklist today. And actually, the fly using my checklist was one of my New Year's resolutions because it is so easy and tempting, let's see, to just say, all right, yeah, I think I'm just going to taxi on up and do a full length here. I think this will give me a full length because I didn't see any other runway that this could be taking me to. Yeah, one of my New Year's resolution was to do my taxi, my checklist, because generally speaking, I'm like, I just want to get in the aircraft and take off. Um, and forego going through the timely checklist. But whenever I watch real pilots work either in the real world or on the sim, they'll take the time to go through checklists. You ever notice that? So yeah, hopefully this is 2-4, and yep, 2-4. All right. So my friend my friend J A Pilot just reminded me of a website that we've been working on. We are building. I'm glad you put that up because I do want to start my ACARS software. So you guys bear with me. I know that you can't see me what I'm doing, but I am loading a piece of software and ah, I hit the wrong button and when it asked me if I want to load it, I said no. Um, this is a piece of software that's available at skyaviation.org, and it does say it is running, so it did run. All right, and it's initializing, and I'm about to start it again. Um, what? Hold on, guys. Let me put in my password for this piece of software, and hopefully that's right. And it did at work. All right. All right. So I'm taking off from Wilmington and I'm going direct to Kilo Charlie Romeo Echo. I'm going to call this GA flight number 15. And I've got 10 passengers on board. I actually got a passenger in my co-pilot seat. Um, and this flight is westerly from my location, so I'm gonna do 4,500 feet. It's gonna be a low flight, and I got 20 kilos of cargo and direct. Okay, start. What ACARS does is it follows me around um, and observe what I'm doing. Start flight, yes, and it says I need to set the brake in order to start this flight, and I got my feet on the brake, but I guess it wants to be set. So let me click this guy. All right, pull that back up. It says I need to be at the gate. Um, and okay, so I got that flight started on ACARS. What ACARS does is it will fly along with me and monitor what I do. So if I do something wrong, like stall the aircraft, it's gonna ding me for that. It just award me a rating of how well I'm flying. I mean, it's a great system. I tell you, anybody who fly really need to check it out. And the way you can get ACARS, it's a free download. Just go to virtualaviation.org and join as a virtual airline pilot, and you can get the software for free. You'll see the downloads. Uh, and by joining uh, with, with our airline or this airline, you can fly anywhere you want to fly. There are no restrictions. However, we do encourage you to fly like I'm flying part 135. You know, observe real world procedures and rules. Um, and also, um, one of the pilots, who's a real world pilot, is offering a flight academy. And I think the way this is working, this is new, but I think the way it's working that is that once he get enough people sign up for the flight academy, he's going to let me turn my brakes off. He's going to schedule some online flight academy classes that should help jumpstart you if you're planning to get a private pilot license or PPL. Okay, reverse thrust check. All right, and I am backing up. Those are working. Go to holding point and set parking brakes, which I just released, but I'm at my holding point, and I'm gonna set those again. Okay, cooling and heating is off. Oh, yeah, I thought it was getting mighty hot in here. And fuel pumps come on, left and right. Landing lights come on. Taxi lights can go off. Passenger seat belt and no smoking signs are on. And now we can request taxi. Transponder. I want to go ahead and turn my transponder and my strobes. Well, I need to talk the tower before I turn my strobes on. So, at which time I can come back up there. But I do want to go ahead and make sure my transponder is on and set to altitude reporting. Right now it's on standby. Okay. And let's turn to the tower frequency. Wilmington Tower, Pilatus 9875, November, holding runway 24, ready to departure. We'll be departing to the southeast. and we do have Zulu. Okay, and they will either have me hold for incoming traffic, which I don't see, and make sure nothing is on the runway, and they will clear me to takeoff. Clear for takeoff, runway 24, Pilatus 9875 November. Okay, so I've been cleared for takeoff. So now I can put on these strobes and hop on the runway, release these brakes, and go to flight idle on my switch. I think there's something that tells me to do that. Transponder warning, um, no warnings, parking brake is released, go to a line. Okay, so turn that to flight idle. And yeah, condition level, flight idle, there it is right there. Okay, parking brake is is released. And so flight brief is I'm going to rotate at 80 knots, and my torque needs to stay below 44.3. I want my IT to stay below 800 degrees. Okay. Rotate at 80. Airspeed's coming alive. Airspeed's alive. 60. 80. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up.
FSE flight not started.
Ah, doggone it. I do that every time. Fortunately, FSE is forgiven. So as long as I'm within a couple miles of the airport, it'll let me start in the air. So that just go to show that I'm not the only person who does this. But I was thinking about it right there on the ground. I wish it was in my checklist. Okay, got my passengers and my gas. Um, I bought a half a tank of gas for this flight and it put it in. All right. Okay, so tap brake. Oh man, I've already raised my gear. It's too late for that now. Okay, and flaps up. And I am going to do 4,500. I should have put this in on the ground. And I don't want to climb out at 2,100 feet. Let's climb out at 1,400 feet. AP comes on. Yaw dumper comes on. Nav comes on, and navigation goes to GPS, and we'll start our climb. We are climbing out at 1,400. My ECS can come on to auto. Torque, I'm gonna power that back to 36.9 on my clam. That sounds mighty low. Okay, 37 is good enough. Unless you're one of those pilots who's a perfectionist. Uh-oh, I did not engage that leg. So, direct, activate. All right, now that leg's engaged. All right. Okay. And I actually had said I was going to do VOR rather than rather than GPS. But it's so easy to become dependent on the GPS. So, and to be honest with you, I usually do the GPS, the VOR flights in a different aircraft because um, it can be real hard for me to, I mean, well, not real hard, but man, I didn't arm this thing for 45 and I blew right through it. So let's turn that off and drop this down to do a 500 feet per minute descend. And I need to arm it to 500 feet. Okay, let me pull it back so I don't overspeed. And did I raise my flaps? My flaps are up. My gear should be up. And my airspeed is coming up. I'm down, lowered my torque because when I drop, when I'm flying downhill, then that speed can really get out of, can really zoom up to 200 to 236 knots indicated, which is overspeed in this aircraft. Um, which I never quite understood. Oh yeah, I did take off. So you were ready, huh? Um, yeah, I got to telling you about some stuff, and anyway, so we are en route to Grand Strand in South Carolina. Grand Strand is North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And let's see. Let's do this, do that, and we can move that around now. And so this is our destination, which means that I should be able to keep my I should be able to keep the ocean on outside the window. The ocean is on my route. I am going on my right side. I am going south. Wilmington and North Myrtle Beach are both East Coast towns on the East Coast of the Carolinas. Okay, so let's change this guy to ascend at 100 feet. This time we'll arm it so that we will catch. I still need to descend. I didn't realize I had gotten up so high. Okay, so we'll descend at 300, and we got it armed for 45, so we should capture that if we turn our AP on. I guess it was on. Okay. I have to go up here. I didn't see those lights up on the underside. So for a second there, I thought I thought it had went off. Okay. And we are moving over the ground at 224 knots. This flight was only about 60 knots, so we should get there pretty soon. We only got 29 knots, nautical miles until we get to our destination. So, with that said, I am going to increase my descent rate. I'm gonna bring that down to 15 and increase this to 600 feet per minute, and which means that 45. Let me pull back my engine power a little bit because I am in now. I do need to adjust my cabin pressure. Right now, I think it's a little bit low, and so that's coming up. And the rate of climb, cabin rate of climb, and let's see what we got here. Okay, so some of this stuff. So my rate of climb on my cabin pressure looked like it's at about 600, 550 feet per minute, and my climb is set. Now this is 1,000, so I would have needed to set that to 4,500. Um, but at this point, I'm actually coming down, so I'm just going to set it to three. I'm going to set it to 22,000 and be done with it for the time being. Okay, so I didn't get to my fuel pumps yet. So passenger wing, no smoking. They say I could turn those off. I'm going to leave them on. The icing as needed. Altimeter, not above, not in class A, so I'm gonna leave that as is. Instrument and warning panel should look okay, and it does. And this would normally go to auto, but I am going to leave it at where it's at. Control. Let's see, X chat list. So I just did climb. Let's do cruise, and maybe it was in the climb chat list that I needed to turn my fuel pumps off, but I'm gonna leave them on. And the reason I'm leaving them on is because I'm about to land. Okay, I'm 14 miles out from my airport, and I need to find out my my runway. And let's see, ATOS is 124.6, and I can't believe I didn't put that in the box before I took off. Okay. And 124.6 was ATOS. Let's double check that. No, that was control panel 119.65. I think I had that in there. You know, I did the same thing yesterday. 119.625. Had something in there and brought it up and changed it when all I had to do
Grand
was
Strand
flip it.
Information Zulu.
Zulu.
1900 Zulu weather. Wind 230 at 8.
2-3 at
Visibility
8.
more than 10. Sky conditions 20,500 scattered, 25,500 scattered, temperature 22, dew point -13. Altimeter 2997. Arriving runway 23, departing runway 23.
Okay,
Advised on initial contact you have Zulu.
Zulu. Okay, so I want 2-3 and
Grand Strand in
the tower for Grand Strand is 124.6. Get up there to 6. Grand Strand Tower, Pilatus 9875 November, inbound from the northwest, 4 stop with Zulu. And they would tell me how to approach to get the 2-4, but since I don't have them to actually tell me, I am going to look myself. And I was getting a little bit too slow there. Let's see, taxi. And 2-4 is the straight in runway. Let's see, fly straight in. Fly straight in runway 23, Twix, November 9875, November, Pilatus. All right, so they told me they want me to fly straight in and get rid of that guy. It's my aircraft. And I slew down. I'm flying a lot slower because I needed the time to compose myself. It's so easy to let stuff get ahead of you. Okay, so where is the airport runway? And it's over there. So I'm actually gonna swing back and line up from here. And I guess Tower would wonder why is this guy flying where he needs to do a full base, but I'm the pilot. I'm the pilot, so I get to say how I'm flying this aircraft. All right, all right, and let's turn base and gear down. Flaps 10, and I'm way high. Never fails. I cannot land without being crazy high. And ACARS will deem me for this kamikaze dive to get to the airport. I am off checklist, but I'm learning to use the checklist. This is what it's all about. Okay, so get lined up. Now I'm on my glide slope. I want to stay at about 100 knots until I cross the threshold. Trim. Oh man, what is that? A car? I thought that was some animal for a second there. Okay. Flaps. Okay. Looking good across the threshold. A little power there. And not too much. Find that center line, transition, and settle down. Okay. Excellent landing. Excelente. Okay, reverse thrust. And I don't, okay, I got a turn off coming up. I'm going to exit to the left. Excelente. I don't normally do an excellent landing on this aircraft. Okay, stir a cockpit. And something that I tend to not do very well at, and that's stopping and cleaning up the aircraft. So, Grand Strand Tower, Pilatus 9875 November is clear to runway taxi to FBO. Taxi to FBO, Pilatus 9875 November. Okay, so and I would need to pull out my chart to find out where the FBO is at this airport, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm gonna engage my brakes and drop off my passengers. Pull up A cars. I want to end this flight and put the new flight in. Okay, and the destination is going to be CPK, Chesapeake, flight number GA16. Passengers are, I think I got 6 passengers. Check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passengers. I got 5 passengers, but I do want to pick up this package that I was supposed to deliver. I'm supposed to deliver to RDU. And did I get that package? I don't see it. Don't see the package. Part of the reason I came down here was to pick up that package, because I'm actually trying to find a route that's a reason to fly to Raleigh, Durham. All right. Um, and here it is. Got it. Okay, get it. Add it. Now I've got the package. Okay, so now let's start this flight. And this time let's start the flight so that we don't forget. All right, And and one more thing I need to figure out is the ground frequency for this airport, which is 121.8. Let's see, so I got 5 passengers and let's say 33 kilos, and the I need to look at my plan. So we're going Wilmington, New Bern, and Carolina City to Chesapeake. Find my ink pen, write that down. Um, Wilmington, Carolina City, and then okay. So I'm gonna put that in A cars. Wilmington, New Bern, Carolina City, and that's our route. Altitude, how high are we gonna fly? Um, we're flying westerly, so we can do 65. No, we're flying easterly. And I like scenery, I like ocean, so I don't see any need, even though this flight is pretty high. I mean, pretty long for me because I don't do long flights because I tend to sit here and narrate each flight. Um, I don't just jump in the aircraft. I don't always just jump in the aircraft and just set the autopilot and go do something else. Okay, so let's find that runway. There it is. And that was 121.8. All right. Grand Strand Ground, Pilatus 9875, November is at LPO, ready to taxi with Zulu, and we'll be departing to the northwest. I think it's Zulu.
Grand Strand Information Zulu.
Yep. Taxiville, runway 23, Pilatus 9875, November. All right, so we're going to taxi up to 23. And we just landed on 23, so we pretty much know our way there. Um, hopefully I won't be, let's see, hopefully there's a taxiway and not the runway. Yeah, I think I see a taxiway out there. I know sometime I have done this and have got not to a runway, but have approached a taxiway. I mean, have not gotten to a taxiway and trying to get to a taxiway and actually get to a runway. Okay, I didn't clear my turn. Okay, so I'm okay on fuel. Cabin pressure's okay. And inert sep. I don't know if I ever turned it off. De-icing, fuel quantity. and I didn't get this far the last time. Checklist takeoff. Okay, so we're taxing via Alpha, runway 23. And there is a little run-up area here. One 24.6 is what I want. $15 here. And set my trim. And up here, initial set on. Okay. And turn this on. Grand Strand Tower, Pilatus 9875 November is holding at runway 23, ready to depart. Clear for takeoff, runway 23, Pilatus 9875 November. All right, so we've got our takeoff clearance. Got 15 degrees of flaps in. Go here, get on the runway. Squawking 1200, altitude reporting. We are lined up. Landing lights come on, taxi lights go off, strobes are on, which I didn't take off during my cleanup. And rotate at 80 knots. Airspeed's coming alive. Airspeed's alive. Eighty knots, rotate. FSE is started, so good on that. Gear up. This is a little bit more, this is a little better than the last one. Flaps up. Yaw damper is on. GPS is in the box. AP comes on. And I don't know why sometimes it start out with this crazy climb rate. 1,700 feet, 3,100 feet per minute, which is just crazy. All right, so we adjusted that to 1,500 feet per minute. And we want to capture 5,500 feet. Okay, so that's armed. And we're back at 1,500 feet per minute. And we got our climb going on, guys. Intercepting our our flight path. Try shooting the ILS. Hmm. I should, I really should practice more ILS. And, it's funny, but most people learn how to shoot an ILS first, and I can shoot an RNAV a lot easier than I can an ILS. Well, I tell you what happens. Every time I try to shoot an ILS, I always do it in the Air Force 172, and I can never. It's got a 430 in it, and I can never seem to program that 430 for the ILS. Um, it never captures it. So I should try it in an aircraft um, that's that's using the 530, which this one has a pair of them. Um, but before I do it online, I think I'd rather try to capture it, to do it offline, and then when you say shoot a ILS, then I know how to do it. Um, but I've done it a couple of times, but I just need to practice it some more. But I can pull out a chart, and as long as I can, those RNAVs seem to be amazing, because as long as I'm holding, can dial in and get down to the altitudes and let the GPS take me to those waypoints, it will line me up with the runway. So, and usually the aircraft that I fly usually don't have the vertical nav, just the guidance to the airport, like some with the 530, the 430. I haven't checked out with the 750, and while I do mess, thank you, it's true. While I do mess around with the G 1000, because some of the aircraft that I do fly have the glass cockpit. I never tried to do anything that require programming an ILS or nav in that particular aircraft, primarily because it's so hard to see for me, those little numbers. Okay, so let me dial back on my power setting. Landing gear is up. I can never remember to tap the brake. Landing light comes off. Initial self comes off. Fuel pumps go to auto. And I did a no-no. I was supposed to turn off my environmental control before I took off. That's something I have to remember to do in the Pilatus. Um, and power back, even though I'm at cruise. Cabin differential, I am at 55. So let's turn this to 55. Check that off. And my rate of climb, which I don't think is modeled in this aircraft. See, that button does not work. That's one of the problems that I have with Coronado aircraft. It's just so much that doesn't work. This is not modeled. Um, the the ADF is not modeled. I can't, these buttons here. So when I'm doing night flying and I'm trying to adjust my light, it's not modeled. Um, this passenger wing, no smoking. This aircraft, yeah, people can get up and move about their seats now. Um, this aircraft is beautiful. Coronado does really do make some of the best looking aircraft on for X-plane on the planet, but they leave a lot to be desired. Hey, Dimitri, how you doing, man? Yeah, GA is trying to figure out his instrument stuff. I wanted to say something a little bit more witty, but I don't know enough about instrument training uh, to know. I know it's a lot of rules that you got to learn. A lot, and I do mean a lot. Oh man, there was a bug, a stink bug on my lamp. I can't believe how warm it is. All right, let me do my cruise checklist. Okay, power setting. I'm at six. Come on, guy. Cruise. Open checklist. Let's see. Maybe if I hit open. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm at 6,000 and well, I'm at 5,500, so I'm gonna use 6,000. So my torque needs to be around 27.1 to keep my speed below 200. Okay, I'm gonna dial that in just for a few minutes just to see how well the aircraft is modeled. Well, I know it's modeled for that because Sim Coders did this checklist and they did it for this aircraft. So out to achieve roughly that speed. Yeah, you're right, man. It is. It. In fact, hold on a second. I need to do do something. Be right back. Yeah, I had turned on when I got home. I pulled off my shoes and my feet were cool, so I turned on my space heater, and because I don't need to heat the whole house, and it's getting warm in here, so I need to go turn it off. Yeah, it is crazy mild. I think global warming is a thing, guys. I really do. So I am flying the Pilatus PC 12, and I am doing the four checklists, which sometimes it feels like it just take a lot more time, but it's something that I really should do whenever I fly any aircraft. I really should take the time to actually go through and do the checklist. Okay, 27.1 and should get me right around 200 knots. Got a ground speed of 245. Maybe. Yeah, so how many of you guys use checklists? Yeah, I try, and I'm not going to promise I'm going to always use a checklist even now, because sometimes I just want to get up in the air and fly. Sometimes that's the whole purpose of the flight sim is just to get up in the air and fly, um, to enjoy it. But I did make the New Year's resolution that I was going to try to use checklists a little bit more. So the aircraft, I took the time to find checklists, C list checklist that works with the X Checker program, um, for the aircraft that I fly most. So I do intend to try and use it a little bit more often when I got time. Yeah, I see your channel, man. It's really coming along. I saw something and looks like you are, um, getting, on your way to achieving a couple hundred, um, regular viewers or followers, which is, hats off. That's what happens when you stream daily. Congrats. So I'm at Wilmington. I'm north of Wilmington, and oh, cool. I'm sure. I'm sure. In fact, there's something called there's something in, um, Streamlabs that when you in your stream, you can actually dump your visitors, like you just said, um, on some other channel. And because I know I've been dumped on other channels twice, and raids, yeah, yep, raids is exactly what they call them. And that's I suspect that's what happened. You somebody gave you a raid, or or been hosted something different. Okay, gotcha. Cool. So hosted and raids are both different, or are they the same thing? Okay. Thanks for the following, shot. Appreciate it. You're welcome to join in and chat anytime you see me airborne or stuck on the ground for whatever reason. Belgium, cool. Welcome. I'm in the north. I'm in the states in the Carolinas. Um, I live in North Carolina, and I'm flying in North Carolina now. I'm over the East Coast. Off my wing, somewhere out there is the Atlantic Ocean. There it is, off my left wing. And so, with that said, I think. if I turn left and fly left long enough, I might be able to fly over your house. Bonjour. Now, bonjour, that's hello in French. And Belgium, does does Belgium speak French or mm, I don't know. Is French the language you guys speak? Or you just use, no, okay. And Mons, okay. French in the south, Dutch in the north. Hmm. You know, when I was born, the United States was a one country, one country was a one language country, but it has evolved into a two language country. Of course, English is still the primary language, but I think Spanish is the secondary language here because there's a big and growing population of Spanish speaking people here. Um, my girlfriend speaks is Spanish, and I can't speak a word of it. And she was born in Colombia. French, Flemish, and Vermin in certain parts. Hmm. Yeah, to me, French and Spanish are beautiful languages. Um, yeah, German. I was just going to mention that. I was just going to say that German, on the other hand, is a language that has a lot of hard consonants. So, to the ear, it sounds like they're fussing. Chicka, cook, and kind of like Russian. Chicka, ka. You don't want to hear me try to imitate German. But yeah, certain languages flow and certain ones don't. And I've often wondered, how does English sound to someone who don't speak English, even to someone who speaks English? I mean, um, I I never I never known whether or not it was considered a harsh language, kind of like German and Russian, or kind of a poetic language, kind of like French and Spanish. So what is league, liege? What is that? Crop, crop. Let's see, crack wagon. That's funny. Oh, okay. Crap wagon. So let's check our engine. ITT looks good. Torque is good. Speed is under 200. And and because under 10,000, I think 200 is the speed limit, or no, under 10,000, 250 is the speed limit, and 200 is the speed limit in Class B airspace. Man, it has been uncannily warm in this part of the United States um, all year long. I mean, we've gotten some cold days, but when I was a kid, it was not an unusual occurrence in the wintertime to have the ponds and really small lakes freeze over with a thin sheet of ice in the wintertime. And now that's unheard of in these parts. Well, your English, trust me, your English is a lot better than my French and or Dutch. So let's check my flight plan. 21 miles out from New Bern, VOR, and 100 miles from Civi, VOR. Now, okay, so I am going to cheat. Well, it's not really a cheat, but I can increase my speed even though my checklist is giving me my power ratings, but I do want to fly a little faster. Um, 2 hours for me is about the max I can do a flight. Okay, so I am gonna increase my speed to 38. My torque goes to 38. My speed out to go up to about 225. Just below, um, just below the range of overspeeding. I'll be here. So, with that said, I should cut down on my flight time by increasing my speed. As you can see, my ETA and my distance to my next waypoint is dropping much faster than they were. My speed is inching close to my overspeed indicator. My ground speed is up to 269 knots. And 270. And with the distance, with 120 knots still left to go, I don't want to just sit on 200 knots when I can fly faster. However, if it was a real life flight, then I would keep it where it was at. Okay, so my power settings should be at the altitude that I'm at, I should be about 27.1 torque. But in this class of aerospace, as long as I am below, let me turn the engine sounds down just a little bit. As long as I am below 250 knots, then I'm perfectly legal. So I guess I'll let the haters hate and the lovers meet. That's a Frank White original there. I, believe me, I just made that up. Let the haters hate and the lovers meet. Probably somebody used it, but if they have, I had never heard it. Okay, so I get to watch the scenery roll by. Okay, so I'm at my next waypoint, and fortunately, the air is extremely smooth today. Visibility is just great. I mean, I can really see pretty far ahead of me, and there are some flights that I've taken where you just can barely make out the horizon because of the haze that's in the air. If I turn the window reflections off, then it even gets a little better. But in real life, flying is not easy. You get these distractions like reflections and stuff. So um, my thing is, as long as I got them, I will use them. So you got X-Plane 2 days ago. Oh, cool. Um, I would start with the default 172. That's the Cessna Skyhawk 172. That's the one that I think just about everybody start out with. It's a real forgiving aircraft. It's real easy to fly, and as you kind of learn the aircraft, the systems, um, you know, pitch, yaw, um, and you become familiar with, lift, drag, um, and you start getting familiar with the aircraft panel, like your turn indicator, your vertical speed indicator, your altimeter. Learning what those things do. I mean, it's a lot to learn, but most people they just start off just flying and having fun with it. And as you um, get accustomed to one thing, then you'll start picking up. But what you don't want to do, uh, what I wouldn't advise you to do, is start jumping into complex aircraft all of a sudden. I would stick with that Cessna to start out with. Thanks for the following, Nova King, Nor King, Nor Nor Viking. Thank you. I appreciate it. And welcome to the community. Yeah, the Cessna is a great aircraft to start out with. Um, what else is pretty easy? I know my path has been starting out with the Cessna. Now I've been using X-Plane now for 2 years, so I am by far from being an expert. Um, because some of these guys who have been flying, well, have been flying since the have been flying these sims since the 80s and 90s, literally. I took some flying lessons about, I guess it's been about 15 years ago, and I flew the Cessna, the 172, and the Cessna 152 in real life. Um, I did some landings on a grassy airfield and some touch and goes at Raleigh Durham International Airport in North Carolina. And that's the extent of my real world flying. And so no, I don't have a pilot's license. My student license has expired. I would need to get another medical, and probably would want to go through ground school again. Um, Ground school in real life teaches you the basics, like how to calculate weight and balance, things. It's just a lot of basic maths that that they teach you to be able to figure out how to get from point A to point B without all this fancy equipment that's on board. Um, if I fly at 90 knots with a crosswind component, with a headwind crosswind component at 2 knots, then that's going to slow me down to 89 or 88 knots, depending on the angle of the crosswind and all that stuff you learn in ground school. And if I fly with that crosswind component for 2 hours, then in this direction, then I should reach my point on the compass rose in X amount of time. All of that's the ground school. And if you're interested in learning some of that, figured I would get you on the computer. It doesn't time out. Yep, still here. Yeah, I remember you telling me that your phone does time out from time to time. Um, if you're interested in learning some of the real world principles of flying, then there's a website called Virtual Sky Aviation. In fact, my friend G.A. Pilot, who is a real world pilot, and he does fly currently in real life. He's teaching. I hate to use the word teaching, but um, he has a flying academy where he helped jumpstart those who's interested in learning real world procedures. So, so what you can do is bookmark the Burn 58. Yeah, that's really complicated for a beginner. But what you can do is bookmark the URL that just popped up and join. And once he get a number of once he get a class together, then I think he will notify people in some form or fashion and let you know um, when to expect classes to begin. So, yeah, it's Virtual Sky Aviation. Also, there are some more tools on that website that can help you become a better pilot. And I'm actually using one of those tools with this flight. It's called ACARS. And at the end of the day, I could look at that ACARS and see how well I'm flying. I could look at my score and tell whether I'm improving flying the sim planes or whether I'm um, whether I peaked or just what. So yeah, it's it's worth taking a look at. Nora King. So what about you? Do you sim or or if so, what do you fly? Nora Viking. Cool. Just getting started. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Check out Virtual Sky Aviation. Just join us a pilot, and you'll see a link for virtual for the flight academy. Let's see. And I am flying this bird as fast as I can. Now, I'm also using the program, guys, called FSEconomy. And by flying missions, I get to make virtual money. Now, what's cool about the virtual money that that I'm earning is I can spend that money on a virtual aircraft that I can fly in the FS economy world. So yeah, the the academy is coming online. Still a lot of back end work to do. However, the information given can be used in the flight sim community. I get it. So you taking real world lessons, nor Viking, or not? Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, you're right. That's I do want to go back and get my pilot's license, but right now I've got too many other demands on the finite resources that I do have to make it a priority. But in the meantime, I got my Pilatus and my Cessna. I got um, three Cessnas that I still fly, the 152 and two different 172s. I've got a Piper Era that I just adore. I think I got more hours in the Piper Era than I got in any other aircraft. The Pilatus, I fly it only on FS economy because it can hold a decent amount of passengers for a single prop plane, and it's fast for a single prop plane. It only has one propeller. I'll show you again, and one engine. So I don't have the the twin turbos like the King Air, but it's a lot easier to fly than the King Air. Well, I'm not gonna say a lot easier to fly, because flying a plane is flying a plane. I think what I want to say is it's a lot easier to program the GPS in it. I was just telling one guy, I think it was GA Pilot, that I still haven't. I've been flying the sim for 2 years, and I still haven't gotten checked out in the GN 750. Just haven't spent any time with it. Um, the GN, the Garmin 1000, which is called AKA Glass Cockpit, really haven't spent a lot of time in those aircraft, even though the TMB that I fly, that I have, has a glass cockpit. But you're right, glass and um, and these high-end GPS systems are the future of flying. Demetrius stepped out. He said he would be back. Um, I don't know if he's gotten back yet. What I find about flying and from looking at videos of real life parent pilots is that um, the workload can get real heavy, extremely heavy in and around airports, um, particularly during takeoff and landings. But a lot of times while you're cruising, you get a chance to relax. In fact, um, this is a good time for me to stay ahead of my aircraft by looking at my chart. Well, I still got 99 miles, nautical miles on one leg. Let's look at my flight plan. Oh, no, I don't. At the rate that I'm flying, I would be approaching my destination in probably 20 minutes. Um, so I don't have as much time as I thought. Okay, which again, it's a good time to look at my charts. So, since I know there are a couple newbies on the channel, this is called a sectional chart. It's kind of like the roadmap for for pilots, and this magenta line is the line that I'm flying. Uh, yeah, it is the line that I'm flying. And if I look at my GPS that's up under this window, then what I see is that I'm just now coming up on the CVI waypoint. So I'm just now coming up on the CVI waypoint, and from there I'm turning to my destination, which is 34 miles away. So I am gonna pull my power back right now, and that would give me, by slowing down, I hope to have time to manage my workload. Now I'm at 5,000 feet, and I need to look at how high. I need to look at my airport elevation, and my airport, my destination elevation is, let's see, is 19 feet. So so the airport is 19 feet above sea level, I'm at 5,500 feet, so I need time to get down all 505 feet. If I descend at 1,000 feet a minute, then it's going to take me 5.5 minutes to get down to sea level, roughly. Um, so so I kind of use 1,000 feet a minute descent to kind of figure out how long it's going to take me to get down. If I descend at 500 feet a minute, of course, it's going to take me twice that, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, and I only got 6 minutes to my destination. So that means that if I do 1,000 feet a minute, then it would get me down. Now, so let me go ahead and dial that in. Um, let's see, feet per minute, and there we go. So start that descent, and I don't want to come down a whole 1,000 feet. I need to come down to what's called pattern altitude. And that once you get into the flight academy or watch some of the PPL series by G.A. Pilot, then a lot of the stuff might become a little bit more apparent. But I need to get down to what's called pattern altitude, which is usually 1,000 feet above the airport, or 1,000 feet AGL. There's another term that that you will learn, MSL and AGL. But in any case, don't let me confuse you with that. Just know that 1,000 feet a minute should get me down before I get to this airport, in which case I can take control of the aircraft manually and start descending either faster or slower. But I can't tell you how many times I started, I've gotten near an airport and realized that I have not, that I'm too high to get down. Even if I take the yoke and push it in, the airplane just won't descend, but so fast. Okay. Um, it's an uncontrolled tower, and the uncontrolled tower frequency to make calls so that I can tell other pilots who might or might not be in the area what I'm doing is 123.075. If I land on runway 23 and need to get in the pattern, then I need to keep the airport on my right. Um, Otherwise, I generally want to always keep the airport on my left, and I'm getting all that information from this area where it says Chesapeake Regional on the chart that I got up. At least I think I got it up. Um, if I don't, then I apologize. Okay. Um, and finally, the the automated weather observation system, or AWAS, frequency is 123.675. So, in order to know which runway I want to land at, I need to listen to the weather so I know how to come in to land against the winds. So I think I got the information from my chart, so I can get rid of my chart now. And if I had my chart up, I would look for that lake just as a matter of pilotage. Um, I'm 10 miles from the airport and I'm at 2,100 feet, so I am going to peel off some of my descent rate and and get down to 1,500 feet, and I am going to program the GPS to pick up the 1,500 feet for me. Um, so, so yeah, so that's in my GPS. That's programmed into my GPS. So when I get to 1,500 feet, the aircraft should level out right over the trees. Now, one thing that I haven't done is listen to my AWAS, and if my altimeter is not set, then and getting this low, I run the risk of literally flying into a tower. There's my airport there. So, in spite of my efforts not to let the aircraft get ahead of me, that's exactly what has happened. The aircraft is ahead of me, and now I got to work real hard to get ahead of the aircraft. Let's see, 123.675. So that's 124. Okay, got that in the box. Put that in.
Chesapeake regional weather. Wind 230 at 9. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions
123.075.
20,500 scattered. 25,500 scattered. Temperature 22. Dew point -13. Altimeter 2997.
2997.075. So I'm good on the altimeter.
Chesapeake regional weather. Wind
And I'm
230 at
flying over
9.
the airport
Visibility
now.
more than 10.
So
Sky conditions 20,500 scattered. 25,500 scattered. Temperature 22. Dew point
it's my
-13.
airplane.
Altimeter 2997.
So I just took off my autopilot and the
Chesapeake regional weather.
let me turn the radio
Wind
off.
230 at 9. Visibility more than 10.
230. So I just flew over runway 23, which means that I've got to turn around, get in the pattern. So I need to get down to 1,000 feet and fly back um, down the runway, and I got a right pattern, so I need to keep the airport on my right. So I am going to make a UE, but I need to fly out a little bit. I do have a tendency to fly to make my turns too tight, and next thing I know, I'm right over top of the airport before I finish my turn. What I don't want to do is lose my airport because they're real easy to fly away from, and sometimes you think you're flying back to it and you're not. At least in my case, I'm not. Okay, so I'm flying visually. So at this point, what I want to use is my visual references. I don't want to turn too tight because I got passengers aboard. Okay. So one thing I need to train myself to do is look at my heading before I turn, so that I know exactly what I need to come back around to get to the airport. All right, so I got the CTAF in the box, and Chesapeake Regional Pilatus 9875 is inbound on the 45 for the right downwind runway 23 Chesapeake. And that was my radio call. And I'm still not quite down the pattern. And look at my speed, guys. I'm doing 200 knots here. That's way too fast. And okay, trim. Chesapeake traffic, Pilatus 9875 is on right downwind, runway 23, Chesapeake. Okay, so I'm making these calls to let other pilots know where I'm at and what I'm doing. And when I'm parallel with the runway, that's called a downwind. When I'm turning perpendicular to the to the runway, that's called base. Okay, let's drop my gear. Chesapeake traffic, Pilatus 9875 November is turning right base, runway 23, Chesapeake. Okay, and let's go ahead and drop some flaps. And I still didn't look at my, I didn't look, okay. And I always turn too tight. Okay, Chesapeake traffic, Pilatus 9875 is on short final for runway 23, Chesapeake. Okay, so I'm on a short final here. Gears down, flaps 10. Get lined up. I'm on the glide slope. Okay, power back. And let's settle down. Flaps 30. Power down. Got too much power. Flaps 4. And just let her squeak down. Transition. Eyes the end of the runway. And good landing. Reverse thrusters. Brakes. And this aircraft does have the ability to land on a 2300 strip air, um, on a 2,300 foot runway. So um, I think that's, I don't know what that is in meters. Okay, so Chesapeake traffic, Pilatus 9875 November. It's clear of the runway, taxiing to the taxiing the parking, Chesapeake. Okay, so yeah, they do. Yep. Once you go into that reverse thrust range, then then it will stop surprisingly quick. There's a series on Netflix called, I forget what it's called, but it's a airline that fly these aircraft in and out of runways in India or or uh, I'm not sure. I'm not even real sure what country, but some of the runways are are just crazy short. The grass fields. Um, Oftentimes, the runways are made by the natives or the locals. That's a better word. And and they're oftentimes made by hand with with hand tools or literally um, hand tools. And these and these guys fly these Pilatuses in and out of those runways. It's one of the few aircraft that can fly these long hauls as fast as they do and stop pretty quickly. Okay, so let me get paid for my flight. Your flight is logged, and the results can be found on the aircraft. Okay, and let me end my flight on ACARS. That's done. And are you sure you want to exit? You have an active flight. And let's see. Okay, I'll just leave that there. Okay, and now I am going to shut down the aircraft. I've got a package that I need to deliver to Raleigh, Durham, and if nobody grabs this aircraft from this location, then I will fly it there sometime, either later tonight or tomorrow. But okay, so now I use a shutdown procedure that really is not suitable for this aircraft. In fact, let me just go by my checklist. But in the real aircraft, when I was flying the 172, I think we used SLIM, which was switches, lean, ignition, and master. Okay. Um, and for you guys who are, for you, Nora King, you'll learn these things as you fly about, as you go through your ground school. Well, when you get up in the air, probably not necessarily ground school. Okay. Checklist. Shut down. Landing. Down my landing. Okay. Power condition lever. So I can pull that down. Well, you would think before I shut down that I have some more stuff that I need to do before. Uh, that's funny because I'd always assume that before you shut down, you want to turn your. See, I did it again. Did clean my aircraft up. I can never remember to clean it up. Didn't put didn't put my lights on. My initial setup didn't turn the fuel pumps on for landing. And again, that's because I let the aircraft get ahead of me. Okay, so uh, lights beacon can stay on, but since I'm turning it off, I'm gonna leave it on for right now until I get the engine shut down. All right, lean it out. Beacon comes off, and E-cars go off. EPS goes off. I'm outside the checklist. Um, EPS goes back to normal. Oxygen goes off. And what else? Let's start this checklist up one last time. Checklist, open setup, open checklist, shut down. Okay, cooling, OP overhead, that's off because I never turned it on. System bus, standby bus, I mean, needs to go off. ECS switch, I think I've turned that off. All radios needs to go off. Now, see, I was told that you always need to turn your radios, your navigation stuff off before you shut the engine down, because the because they're just so sensitive to electrical to these big electrical swings. Well, they're not so sensitive. They're just so expensive that you wouldn't want an electrical swing to damage them. Shut down. All de-icing is done. External lights are off. Inverter gens. Did I turn my generators off? I don't think I did. Battery. And let's go ahead and hit that guy. And maybe it'll run through this stuff automatically. EPS switch. Um, EPS. I think I turned that one off already. Yeah, I did. Okay. And open the passenger door, let those guys out. And next. And this flight is successful. We had a really soft landing and a decent landing. So I didn't hurt the aircraft. I am getting better at landing this guy. And and with that, I am going to thank you guys, each and every one of you guys, for stopping by and keeping me company on this flight. And if you, if I see you, GA, online, then I'll be sure to join in. Until then, don't study too hard, but learn, study hard. Okay. And as I end all my videos, a good pilot is always learning. Ciao.